Thanks for support. Okay. Yes, now I
Okay,
think.
now,
Yes.
yeah, we're on.
Okay.
Go right ahead. The music.
Okay, is this better? All right, we're fortunate to have two artists here today. Right here we have Jeremiah Patterson. He teaches painting and drawing as a professor of foundations at the Hartford Art School, University of Hartford in West Hartford, Connecticut. His paintings and drawings have been exhibited throughout the United States, including 6 one-person shows at the Sherry French Gallery in New York City. And we have Mr. Jansen Chow, graduated from Kuala Lumpur College of Art in 1991, and furthered his studies in Art Students League of New York from 1994 to 1996. He's been awarded 5 signature memberships with 5 different watercolor associations, 4 in the United States and 1 in Canada. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Can you say something?
my friend.
Okay.
So the first thing I'm going to say is what an honor it is to be here with all of you. You've heard my name is Jeremiah Patterson, but it's really a great honor to paint next to Jansen, somebody who I've followed for a while, and I think you're going to see 2 painters that go at things differently but have the same, I think, heart for watercolor, right? So Jansen asked me to kick off. Would you like me to go? Because I want to see how he does this. I'm kind of amazed. But what I'm going to do for you is paint a demonstration that's typically a still life of my work. It's what I'm most known for. I was very blessed in 1997 to have the cover of Watercolor magazine that kind of launched my career. And very quickly, if you'd like to QR code this will take you right to a YouTube page on my 7 essential watercolor techniques, which I'll refer to throughout the demo. And what I'd like to just simply say is that one of the things I had to do a little differently for coming to Texas was, number one, I work exclusively from direct observation normally. So I look at the exact still life, and I can go right up close to the still life to see it if I want to see certain things in it. And that is not necessarily afforded in a situation like this. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm working from a photo reference, which is a little bit foreign to me, to be honest, but I'm going to do my best. So I printed it as largely and clearly as I could to see the detail that I need. But I'm going to end up interpreting a lot of that detail. I don't work, I'm not a photorealist. I'm a realist, but not a photorealist, and I don't try to copy photographs. The other thing that's a little bit unusual for me is that normally a painting of this scale is at least 7 to 10 days of 12-hour painting days. And I think they gave us an hour and a half, Jansen, isn't that right? And he said this morning to me, that's a nice long time, and my heart palpitated. But so what I've done is I've done some stages, and we're going to get started with stage 1. Stage 1 for me is it's all about drawing. Everything comes from drawing. It's first working out a composition. There's usually many studies that go into this, object studies, drawing studies. What you're not seeing are all the potato peels that happen. And then what I eventually come to is a composition where a very simple line drawing is placed on the watercolor paper to give me a map of where to work. And you can see that it has some detail, but it's missing a lot of the shadowing. That's going to happen with paint. I don't want to make a painting that is a tinted drawing with pencil. I want to make a watercolor painting. So as I work, I'll be removing the pencil. And if I can do this, I try to work from background to foreground. Jansen, how do you go background to foreground, or do you just go all over?
Depends.
Oh, it depends. Well, this is why it's wonderful. You can see different things. So I generally try to work background to foreground so that I can mend my edges of forms and build them up. So what I'm going to do to get started, and then I'll stop talking and turn over to Jansen, and I'll just work as he's starting up. Is I'm going to mix up a gray tone to lay in the background, the wall tone, and just kind of give it a general block in. Within my 7 watercolor techniques, the essentials, the first 3 are all about blocking in your form, And the last three, and then the seventh one is unique. It's masking. Everybody knows as a watercolorist what masking is all about because it helps us save our page. But the next three are all about what we call modeling form. And if you're a painter, you know that painting is a blocked-in form that gets modeled into roundness or into depth. That's basically what we're going to do. So my favorite mix for background is burnt sienna ultramarine blue to make a nice neutral gray, because with ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, I can make that gray
Can I introduce
cooler
myself first?
or
for
warmer. Yeah.
Can.
Okay. Now, that's all I need to say, and you're
Okay.
on.
Leader, you can go on.
No, you're on. I'm ready. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jansen Chow from Malaysia. Yesterday, I just took more than 32 hours from Malaysia flight to USA. So I'm so happy. I love America. Okay. 30 years ago, I was studying in art student. This is the second time back to America. So that my style is very freestyle, very, very free. I look at the street scene or photograph. I never follow the photo. I just use my own color, own style to do. But because today I want to show you full of my inspiration, so I will do something sketches. I will do a sketches first. This is the sketches I do. I usually do. Okay, just find a few minutes to finish in the street, and then I will do the big one. Okay, so let me start.
So Jansen, you're doing some little sketches to start.
Yeah, I
love
do
that.
the small sizes. Yes.
Sometimes I do those too, just from time to time, especially if I'm trying to figure out color.
Okay.
You know. I'm going to strategize to lay in the background so that I'm always working into the tape. And essentially, we're doing what we call push the puddle. And I think everybody's been aware of how to do that. Anybody in this room probably knows this one. You can't paint a watercolor without knowing how to lay a wash, right? I do all my work, whether it's little artworks like this or my 40 by 60 watercolors that are big, huge, life-size watercolors. I do them all with a number 6 stable brush. Using gravity to rotate, as those of you that, again, know watercolor, you're going to use gravity to your advantage. And I think of the paper as a light box, and I'm altering the light. Jansen, you're working on Fabriano paper?
I use almost arches. Fabriano also I like it because the paper is very bright, and when you paint it, you can show your color very nice.
I love that. That's your color. The color in your work is really beautiful. That's the thing. I think that you have to have a paper with
1
a nice
minute sketch.
brightness.
Okay, 1 minute sketch.
Oh my God!
And then I will do some a simple color to show that this scene I want to do the big one.
Jansen, I'm still like 4 inches down on my background. I'm gonna come over and like grab his wrist. Beautiful, buddy. That's amazing.
Thank you.
You could pre-wet this background and it will help the color move. I live in New England. We never have to worry about humidity because we're very humid up there. But in a place like Texas, you can consider maybe humidifying your paper a little bit to help this move. But generally speaking, you have to just go, as we say, go with the flow with watercolor. You have to just get yourself into that nice
3 minutes.
calm mode.
Okay, this is 3 minutes. My simple sketch.
Oh, I love it.
Okay,
But you can see everything with it.
to show the beauty of the city, how to use a simple paint, water, because watercolor for me, right, is a paint and water control. And the important is your feeling how to do it. Okay, So I will do the big painting now. Follow this.
So by having that sketch, see, the beautiful thing is you've already painted the painting one time, right? And what I do a lot of times is with pencil. That's what I'm doing. With pencil, I'm drawing and drawing and drawing. I'm working out what I'm going to do with paint. And I think in any case, your best angle as a watercolorist is to always think ahead.
Some of the...
Beautiful.
Okay. Venice.
One of my favorite places, Jansen.
Okay.
They have amazing pasta in Venice. The pasta with the squid ink. One of the nice things about the burnt sienna ultramarine blue background glaze is that it can go a little grainy, which can be nice, but it affords the ability to move warm and cool. That's really what you want to be thinking about when you're working with tones, is when you're wanting to work warm to cool. Color always has its own moment. You got the red, the orange, the yellow, the color wheel, but you always want to think about color in two terms, in my opinion, and that's what color are you using and what temperature is that color? And that's what gives those paintings that beautiful liveliness, right?
Okay, today I'm doing the big painting is a New York City scene. Again, so same like just now I do the sketches. I use a big flat brush. Use only gray color to start. Gray color.
What I'm doing here simply is, as the bead gathers, just lifting it and making sure the bead doesn't stay, as many of us have done. If you forget and leave the bead at the bottom, it will bloom back up and feed the rest of that wash as it's drying. I'm not so concerned about having very perfect spaces here. I actually like to have imperfections, especially early on in the painting. I'm going to push a little colder for some cast shadows. Technique number 3 for me is the one where you lay down the wash and then you come back with water and just soften the edge. And this gives me a real lot of control over exactly how soft I want that edge to be. And so I can take the clean water. I always think basically what we're working with is colored water and clean water. You have to let the water do the work for you. Don't try to fight it. And just so that we can show you that you certainly do this the other way around, I can pre-wet the area.
Okay, so this is a simple form. Okay, this is a building. Okay, the sky. The first step important is how to leave it white. The space, just the stroke, the perspective to go in, dot, small dot, form and line. Okay. Yes, start from simple, filling. Now second, small flat brush. Do some more details.
He's got the whole paper covered. I'm just flabbergasted. For me, watercolor is a lot of hurry up and wait. And I'm sitting predominantly because in order to have the type of hand control that I'm needing to make the work I make, I need to be feeling like I'm stabilized. Normally, another small difference from this demo from the studio is normally I work on an easel virtually upright at about a, I would call it maybe like a 60-degree angle, about like that. But we have to have the cameras capture all of this. For those of you that ever watched Julia Child, she would always have the half-baked turkey. And so I don't have to use a hairdryer or anything like that. We'll just let that one pause. And I've brought in a few extra shadows. What I'm going to do now is establish what I call the underglow in these live objects, the fruits. And there's a lot of ways to do this, so I may do a couple different ways. But mainly what you're thinking about is that if you want a soft edge, you want to have water on your paper. You want a wet page. If you want a hard edge, you don't want water near it. You want it to be able to hit that dry paper.
Okay, now I show you my secret, how to mix with gray color and the fresh color, yellow, to make it like a dirty color, but you can see special effect. After the gray color, I'm finished. Some of the parts still wet. Now I use yellow color. Watery first. Some they just join. Okay, this is watery yellow. And then now, thicker.
I heard it's secret and I have to look. But you know, this is exactly what it's about, warm and cool. And when you do that, you liven your surface. The Impressionists taught us that, right? Jansen, you're just amazing.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to do is just go yellow right underneath. And that's the difference, is we're going to start with the yellow and just really power it in so that it shows through all the layers above. And this is where you don't want to be shy. What I simply did with the clean water is wet the area where I want the highlight to not have a sharp edge, but a softened edge. And you probably already saw that I used masking fluid ahead of time and pre-masked the area of the paper I want the highlight to remain pure white.
Different bright color go on.
What's your favorite yellow, Jansen? Could I ask?
I like all the colors.
Yeah. I love it.
because I think the world is full of color. I like this world. So I'm the ambassador of the Daniel Smith. Daniel Smith, they got more than 200 color.
I know.
So for me, that if I don't want to use all the color, it's wasted in my life. So I try to make it my painting more colorful to show the world is great.
Yep. I love it. I swear we knew each other before today. We just met today, but we share so many things and loves and passions, I think. So what I've done here is just put a little bit of a more red yellow with the more lemon yellow, because in looking at this form, I want to bring out some of that where the form turns, and we're just going to let it sit. So yes, so the key to watercolor and what Jansen just mentioned is that pigments come in all shapes and sizes, and basically what you need to remember, there's two sources, the inorganics and the organics, and they're going to be transparent or not. So I actually work with both more opaque pigments like cadmium yellows and cadmium colors, and then also some transparents as well. Those would be like your Indians or other types of yellows. And in fact, with all pigments, in fact, what I'm not showing is I always chart the colors I'm using so I can see what they'll look like when they're dry. The other thing that I like to do is have two water containers, one for clean water and one for just a rinse.
For my painting, right, I like to use direct color. That means I didn't mix in the palette. I use a bright color, exactly original color, put there, and then let the painting, they will, how to say, they will change to other color in the same time. For example, some of the part you can see that you can't make this color because they have a gray, yellow, brown, orange, and green together. So this is, how to say, it's fun. When you're doing, it's very fun. After dry, right, because you didn't mix a lot in your palette, so after your painting dry, it will last longer. Usually, you mix a lot more than 3 colors together, they will become greenish, and then after a few months, you can see the color drop.
Right? We call that muddy, right?
Mm.
And that's exactly the case. So you can see I share the exact same philosophy, and where I want the background to be a bit deader, I'll mix 2 colors together intentionally. Where I don't want that to happen, I'll do them with layers. I'll make the mix happen with layers. So the yellow is going to be underneath, glowing through, and then colors on top. And what that does is that physically pushes one space back and brings the other space up.
Okay? After the feeling like this, now I can use a small brush to do more details. I will focus like the camera effect. I will depend for today. I will focus on this building. Maybe next time in the same place, I will focus another church or the car. So how to do it, the focus point is depend of artist ourselves. It's not the original scene. Okay?
Now, I'm mindful that if I start working anything next to these apples that are still wet, I'll get crawls. As you know, color is going to move in wherever the water is. Water does all the work, and water is your vehicle that moves paint, right? Paint is made with pigment, binder, and then the vehicle. And in the case of watercolor, the vehicle is the water. So you want to be thinking always about where your water is and how that can help you manipulate. And all of that's going to be, if anybody that browses the 7 Techniques YouTube, you'll see that I talk a lot about that. I can certainly start blocking in things down in these areas that are not touching. And we'll do that again because I'm dealing with a wood table. I'll play around with a little bit of a mix. So this is a little Indian red. So this is going to be a mixture of a couple of colors that have a bit of transparency with a little bit of more opacity. And we'll go with a little bit of Payne's gray. I'm looking at this color here in particular, that undertone. And if you notice, it works from cool to warm. We're going to go a little cooler on one side, a little warmer on the other. I also intentionally compose pictures with a lot going on just so that I don't have to paint huge shapes. And because the wood has grain and texture, I'm actually kind of swashbuckling on purpose this undertone. The mixture of Venetian red and black. And it's an ivory black. You notice the strategy there of making the cloth touch the edge of the picture is two things. One is compositionally, it really makes the eye push forward. And also it gives me a place to stop this shape and have a resting area where I can do the other shape just next to it.